Right. King Series update today. And we are checking in on all three energies. Let's see where everybody is at this time. We're going to get thoughts, feelings, and intentions or actions for the King. And then same for the Queen of Cups and Queen of Pentacles. Let's start off with this King. What are their thoughts? Okay. King of Pentacles, King of Cups. Thoughts are in an Eight of Swords in reverse. What about their feelings? Okay. Queen of Pentacles and their feelings. What about their intentions or actions? Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's start off with their thoughts. Why do we have the Eight of Swords for their thoughts? What could they potentially be thinking about? Okay. So the King and their thoughts. Potentially at this time, I would say this is probably a king that is trying to tell themselves they're not thinking about something. It seems like they want to maybe focus their energy on anything except for something they don't want to think about. Um, and so this is complemented with action. So let's say they're heavily focused on a project. They're putting all of their energy into that. Okay. They're putting all of their passion into that. If it removes them from thinking about something else they don't want to think about, then that's what they're doing, right? So I guess it's avoidance in a sense, but it does seem like they are doing something with it. What about their feelings with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse? Okay, so Queen of Pentacles is showing up in this King's energy when it comes to feelings. I would say it's coming in two ways. So Queen of Pentacles, obviously this is a king that is in a commitment with the Queen of Pentacles, right? The fact that the Queen of Pentacles shows up in reverse in the King's energy when it comes to their feelings, and then that we have the Tower, the Five of Pentacles in reverse. It's not feeling too great. It's not feeling too great. I think the connection with the Queen of Pentacles right now is going through some kind of difficulty. I think it's making this king assess or reassess the connection. But it's also, it feels like pattern. Like something has happened here to make this king feel this way. But the natural and likely usual conclusion is it's not going to change, right? So let's say there's an argument here, there's a disagreement, and probably something that has been argued and disagreed about over time. And this king is thinking, it's not going to change. It's going to, this is just the way that it's going to be. So that kind of feels like what that is. At the same time, I think in this king's feelings, they don't have much patience right now because they're going through a lot. I think they're trying to be conscious about that. Like they're trying not to be impatient, but I think they are. It's like they don't want to care. Like if they had permission to not care, I think they would take it. At least at this point in time. Just feels like they don't. It's like they feel like they're already dealing with so much, right? Do I have to care about everything? Do I have to be bothered about every single thing? Am I supposed to care and have compassion for every single thing that's happening here? So there's a bit of a frustration in the energy. What about any intentions or actions with the Eight of Cups in reverse? I mean, I mean, um, if this king allows themselves to, I think sometimes they really think, what would happen if I left? What would it feel like if I moved on? I wonder if I would be happy. Like they have a lot of these moments of reflection, I guess, when it comes to what if I do this? What if this happens, right? Again, I guess it falls more under intention than action because I don't think that there's a decision, a clear decision to yet. If that Eight of Cups was in the upright, I might think that this is a king inclined to make a decision in this way. But to me, this feels like not actually leaving the situation, but thinking, what if I do this? Like, what would happen? And it's like this king is thinking, I'd probably be more happy if I just left. If I could just move on, if I could just leave, I would probably be more happy. So that seems to be the energy they're carrying when it comes to intentions or actions. Let's clarify a little more with each aspect here. So let's see more of this king in their thoughts. So in their thoughts, pop up, unconditional. In their feelings, okay, in their feelings, and then intentions or actions. Okay, all right. And this obviously always plays a part in this series. So when it comes to their thoughts, I think this king, the avoidance is really disciplined, meaning they really have learned how to discipline themselves in the way that they think, especially when they're trying to avoid thinking about a particular person or situation. I think we all know who that is. Um, they're not going to be able to really do that completely. And I think that's why we have the pop up and unconditional card, because as much as they try to avoid it, this Queen of Cups will still pop up in their mind. They still feel what they feel about this queen, and it's just natural to think about them. I do think though that they push this Queen of Cups out of their mind when it does happen. I think it helps this king when they're really highly focused, I think, on career. It feels career like. Their career energy, they really put a lot of their time and effort into that area of their life. Probably because, for one, they see outcome. Another is because there's something about being busy within it where they really don't have the physical time, right, to be distracted. But it still happens, right? With that pop up card, it still happens. Um, in their feelings, we have focused, gossip, and desire. A couple of things. One, I think in their feelings, this king, it's like they're trying to watch out for something, some kind of news. It's like they're trying to make sure that they are aware of what people are talking about, what people are saying. So there's a bit of anxiety in the energy because I think there's fear, maybe fear of discovery. Um, okay, this is totally out of nowhere, but I think in a recent period, this king may have learned or heard about, doesn't feel like it feels direct. So maybe somebody was talking to this king and somebody mentioned this Queen of Cups and how much they actually really desired this Queen of Cups. It feels very casual. It feels like it's even just in passing, but I think it rattled this king. There's something about how someone mentions this Queen of Cups to them and about particularly how much they desired this Queen of Cups. So it seems like it was very visible to people how much they really did desire this Queen of Cups. And I think that kind of stirred a bit of panic in this king. I feel like this was recent. And it made this king worry. Okay. So I think that self-discovery is present. I think that's what they're really watching out for. There's fear here about discovery. Um, when it comes to intentions and actions, I do feel like this king thinks that they are dramatic, like they have a tendency to be dramatic, maybe, or that things are always happening to them and it's like it's always dramatic in the way that it happens. That's one thing I'm kind of sensing here. Another is they feel like time is running out in a sense where they want more from their life. But as each day passes, obviously, as each day passes, we get older and we do literally run out of time because as we get older, time is running out for us to be able to pursue our dreams, our goals, our wishes, and our hopes. So I feel like that's something that this king is also feeling when it comes to their actions. Okay, so that seems to be what's going on for this king. I'm wondering, I think we can just leave it at that for now. It seems like we've covered pretty much a lot of how they're thinking and feeling. Let's try to get now the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, what is the energy for the Queen of Pentacles when it comes to their thoughts? Queen of Pentacles thoughts. Two cards for their thoughts. Okay. Right, and what about the Queen of Pentacles and their feelings? We got one card. Two of Cups. What about their intentions or actions? Okay. Right, and that's funny because we also have the Two of Cups there. Okay. Thoughts for the Queen of Pentacles. Well, there is a lot of energy in their thoughts. You know, I get a sense that this Queen of Pentacles, when they think about things, you know, it just feels like they've accepted that this love that they carry for this king, it is what it is. Even if they're not happy now, and even if things didn't turn out the way that it did, well, the way that they hoped it would, there's a disappointment in the energy, but I think this queen also thinks, well, this is what, it's a little sarcastic because like this Queen of Pentacles is thinking, well, this is what I get for loving this king, right? This is what I get for choosing this king. This is what I get for loving this king. Like, all I did was love this king, and here I am disappointed. And I thought we would be happy, but it just didn't work out that way. So this is maybe a repetitive thought this Queen of Pentacles could be having at this time. What about their feelings with the Two of Cups? Feelings, Two of Cups. And there's that king. Well, you know, the Queen of Pentacles at this time, I mean, and their feelings, a Two of Cups, they do love this king. I mean, there's never been a real question about that. In this king series, right? Obviously, this Queen of Pentacles motivation is love for this king. Even though, as you can see with the King of Cups in reverse, this king is not exactly reciprocating that energy. Okay. I guess this Queen of Pentacles feels conflicted because it's like, they have the marriage, the long-term commitment. They have that stability with this king. They thought it was mutual, but here they are now. And this Queen of Pentacles is thinking, what happened? You know, and maybe they're thinking, we started out with love, we loved each other, we had mutual respect for each other. That's why we have this kind of connection. What happened? Why does this king not love me anymore? That's basically what I'm getting from that. Like, this Queen of Pentacles is thinking, why doesn't this king love me anymore? Okay. So they reflect a lot on the love that they shared with this king, especially, I guess, in the beginning when things were really great and, you know, there was so much potential and the future was, you know, promising. And now they're just conflicted. There's an acknowledgement from this Queen of Pentacles that this king is not in love with them anymore. Okay. Um, Intentions, actions for this Queen of Pentacles. We have the Eight of Wands. So, you know, and it does feel that way with the Queen of Pentacles right now in their energy. They seem to know that, or at least they recognize the truth of the connection with the king, right? They can see that this king is not in love with them anymore. They wonder how things ended up the way that they did. They kind of blame themselves for choosing to be with this king. And in their intentions and actions, they know that probably, right, there's something that they should be doing to create a fresh start. I think, though, the challenge here is it a fresh start for themselves or still trying or wanting to believe that there's a fresh start for the connection? Okay. And I think that's where the dilemma is. Or that's how they feel like they're torn between what to truly think or what to truly plan in this intentions and action energy. they don't want to believe that their future is without this king. At the same time, I think they can also kind of see, well, what if it is? What if what I'm supposed to do is not be in this connection anymore? Okay. So I guess there's more progressive thinking and realization in the energy for the Queen of Pentacles at this time. Um, let's go ahead and get additional energy in their thoughts. Queen of Pentacles thoughts and their feelings and intentions, actions. Yeah. I mean, that's what they're always going to choose when it comes to this king. Um, I mean, that's true too. With the retaliation card, you know, I can kind of sense this queen and this Queen of Swords energy. They can recognize a situation for what it is, but to truly accept what the energy of the connection is and then let it progress from there, they're not going to let that happen, obviously. In their mind, they're thinking this king, they're going to retaliate. If this king decides to do something other than be in this commitment with them. Okay, so in their thoughts, drastic and magnetic. I feel like it's extremes. On the one hand, this queen is so angry, even maybe, that they just want to cut this king off, like prove a point. On the other hand, that's not something they can really do. I think at the end of the day, despite all the hurt and the pain that they feel, they are still very much drawn to this king. And it is because of the love and the commitment and the life shared, right? There's a history there. There's a lot of strength in what has been built, even if it's not as stable as it once was. It's still something that this Queen of Pentacles calls theirs. It's their life. And they're in their feelings with the journal and waves card. I mean, I guess there's a sense of they're angry and then they love this king. They're frustrated, but they try to understand this king. Or they're just angry and then they just try to be patient with themselves. Like, there's a lot of things going on emotionally for this Queen of Pentacles. Um, I do think with the journal card, this isn't like they're physically writing anything down. I think this is more of they're taking note of the way that their emotions are kind of all over the place. I feel like if anything, I think they share their emotions maybe with friends. Um, I'm going to say one particular thing, which, may be significant and may be very specific. I think this is a Queen of Pentacles that is keeping track of dates. Okay. There's something about how they are keeping track of certain dates. It's like they are gathering evidence on, obviously, to be honest, I feel like they're trying to gather evidence. It's like they're trying to make sure they have a timeline of something here. And that is also kind of affecting the waves emotions card, because I think this could be a day that they can handle things, and then because they're trying to recount certain dates, when they make a realization about a date, it's kind of a shock to the heart. So I don't know. Seems very specific, but this could be a Queen of Pentacles that is taking down dates, taking note of certain things that happened on those dates. Okay. And it's not that they have any real concrete plan about what to do about these dates, but they are definitely doing their homework, their research or something, and they're just keeping it for now. So I'll let you guys decide how that resonates. Intentions and actions, we have the commitment and interview card. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, the only intention this Queen of Pentacles has is to stay in this long-term commitment, maybe even marriage. That is the only thing that they really want from this. Okay. And I think their hope is that they will eventually be able to sit down with this king, get on the same page, and be assured of the fact that this king, despite everything, that their goal is to also continue to stay in this commitment. Okay. So I feel like this Queen of Pentacles is actually trying to gear themselves up for some kind of important conversation to have with this king to like reinstate or reestablish, reaffirm the commitment between them despite the energy between them. I feel like they chicken out though. I think they're afraid to hear what this king has to say if they really were to sit down with this king. At the same time, it's like they want to have this opportunity to really sit down and talk to this king about everything just to be assured. However, that I guess this queen is afraid because they're not exactly sure that that's what they're going to get from that conversation. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for that. Let's go on to the Queen of Cups. Okay, Queen of Cups. Um, Queen of Cups thoughts. Knight of Wands. Queen of Cups feelings. Five of Cups and their intentions or actions. Six of Pentacles. Okay, so let's see what's going on with the Queen of Cups at this time. Queen of Cups. This is a Queen of Cups that has a lot of things going on. I think they're actively pursuing either their work or projects, creative pursuit. There's something about where maybe they do feel motivated at this time and they're taking all kinds of action, and that's where they're putting in the effort. They're really giving it a lot of thought. But with the Queen of Wands in reverse, maybe it's half-hearted. Again, similar to this king, it's like distracting themselves, but with something of a worthy project, maybe. I feel like this king and this Queen of Cups actually are on like a bit of a similar track. I think the Queen of Cups right now is busy. They have a lot going on. It feels, but there feels to be like passion with it. I mean, it feels like there's something that they are really giving a lot of time and effort to. It's just the Queen of Wands in reverse. It kind of tells me that maybe it's not wholehearted passion. Um, what about their feelings with the Five of Cups? Obviously, Five of Cups, it represents a sadness, right? A grief, a longing, maybe. Um, so in their feelings, yeah, they're feeling a lot right now. I think this Queen of Cups is just very disappointed with the way that things have turned out. And I think they might also feel wronged in the situation, but they may also be feeling regretful for their actions. There's something about it's a lot. It's a lot of emotions that this Queen of Cups has in the situation they are in now. Um, they could be feeling overwhelmed, like there's a lot going on, but at the same time, there's like particular feelings of regret for actions. So maybe they are coming into realizations about their actions and being regretful. Um, fully knowing that their actions were wrong, but also feeling like they were wronged by circumstance. So there's a deep sadness there for this Queen of Cups in their emotions, in their feelings. What about intentions and actions with the Six of Pentacles? Okay. Okay. Uh, intentions and actions for this Queen of Cups. Well, I would say you know what, right now, this Queen of Cups, their intention is to only give as much as they can get. It feels a little, it feels a little selfish. I mean, selfish in a sense where they're not going to give more than they need to. Um, it's not actually selfish. It's just maybe they're just protective of their energy and what they're willing to give. I kind of feel like they are purposely holding back and not wanting to give too much of their energy, their time, whatever to other people. They just don't want to. That's what I'm really getting. Like they just don't want to. A lot of resistance in being compassionate and caring. There's something about how they feel like maybe I've always been compassionate and caring and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be that anymore. They don't want to care. I'm going to be honest. It feels like a Queen of Cups in their energy. They just don't want to care about anything. And maybe because in the past they cared too much and look where it got them, right? And so now their intention is I'm only going to give what I need to give. I don't, I'm not going to hear people out. I don't want to be compassionate. I don't want to care about anything. And it doesn't even feel like they're afraid of repercussions here in that energy. It feels like it's okay for them to be this way, to be this selfish right now. And again, that could be because maybe they overgave and now it's like taking back a little bit of that and keeping a lot more for themselves. So that's kind of what I'm getting with the Queen of Cups and their thoughts, feelings, intentions, actions. Let's go a little deeper with their thoughts. Oh man, these cards are so. Okay, we've got the threatened card, pretending card for their thoughts. What about their feelings? Silence and non-action with signs and their intentions, actions. Wow. Um, okay, that's a lot. Wow. There's a lot going on. Okay, you know what? For the Queen of Cups and their thoughts, I think um, I think they're trying to deal with the repercussions of their actions. Honestly, in their thoughts, it feels like they can now recognize the way that they have been. I think they can also recognize the way they have, I don't know, been dishonest, lived dishonestly, maybe because of this situation. It feels like they are thinking about the potential embarrassment of the situation. There's something about redemption. It feels like maybe if they keep going and they keep being focused and doing something with purpose, that there will be redemption for them. I think that's how they're thinking things can turn out. In their feelings, again, silence, non action, but synchronicity is kind of funny because I think this Queen of Cups is really disappointed by their actions and their decisions. And they have done wrong, but they also feel wronged. But they're not really expressing any of it. And I feel like that's why my heart is very heavy right now for this Queen of Cups, because it's like everything is being pushed down within themselves. I don't think this Queen of Cups is able to verbalize this pain. It's like they're keeping it to themselves. This Queen of Cups potentially is still seeing all the signs and synchronicities that they have been seeing through this entire experience. So all the signs, numbers and names and all those kinds of things still show up for them. But now it's become a part of their daily life. Like it doesn't seem like they are triggered or bothered by it. They can recognize it and see it, but it's like they've just accepted that exists, right? They don't want to talk about their losses here, and they don't want to feel like they've lost anything when they have. So it's a bit of a hardened Queen of Cups right now, I think. Um, Intentions and actions, obviously, with the tragedy card, right? Crushed, poison, and single. Um, I think this Queen of Cups has a very clear view of their actions and how it brought them to where they are now. I think this Queen of Cups in their intention is they recognize the bad things. Wait, let me make this more clear. This is a Queen of Cups that is single, okay? And I think this is a Queen of Cups that is telling themselves they now recognize what is forbidden, what is potentially going to bring them that sadness, and what is toxic and unhealthy. And I think they're being very careful with their energy. So there seems to be this impression that there's a susceptibility to these kinds of energies when it comes to maybe love. And maybe this is a Queen of Cups that thinks, maybe I'm just better off single. Maybe I'm just better off on my own. I don't deal with situations like this. I don't feel this way, and I'm not surrounded by this, right? And it feels like they would rather be single now than have to really give anything to anyone, which kind of makes sense with the initial energy that we got, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to be selfish right now and not care about people and not give to people. It feels like that's their energy and intention all around, right? So I would say this is a Queen of Cups that keeps to themselves a lot. They don't, it feels like they don't talk to people, they don't go out, they really keep to themselves, and they're okay with that because they don't want to deal with anything right now. Okay. It feels very closed off right now for this Queen of Cups. So that's potentially what I'm seeing here for all three characters. It's a bit heavy, honestly, right now. And I think because there's some kind of transition, right? I'm not even going to pretend that I know what kind of astrological transition is happening here. I am so interested to learn it. I have been really wanting to sit down and learn that, but I'm very overwhelmed with the idea of it. It's a very difficult topic. You really have to be fully invested to gain the understanding needed to really, really immerse yourself in that craft, right? Astrology. Um, but I think there is something going on right now. It's something in Cancer, I think. And so Cancer is the moon and Cancer is emotions as well. And I think that's why everything is so heavy right now, right? For the King series. Correct me if I'm wrong. Very open to what you guys have to say about that. But that's just what I'm seeing. Now, again, I'm just going to do a very quick check-in for this King and Queen of Pentacles and this King and Queen of Cups. I just want to see what the energy, potential energy is for the connections, okay? Not that there's any kind of encouragement for anything. We just want to see, right? Are the connections healing more within itself, right? Where is it developing? Where is it going? So for the King and Queen of Pentacles, what is their energy together? Potential energy? Okay. King and Queen of Pentacles, potential energy together. See? Yep. And what about the King and the Queen of Cups? What is their potential energy? Okay. And I'm going to use a separate deck to clarify this even further. Let's check in on the King and Queen of Pentacles and their energy together with the Four of Wands, the Five of Wands in reverse, and the Knight of Swords. Okay. I mean, okay. That is what it is, right? Yeah. Okay. So the connection between the King and Queen of Pentacles, like what is the potential energy? These two people will still stay together. You know, the Four of Wands will just dictates the fact that this is very stable, right? The connection itself is very stable now. The energies within the connection not, but the connection itself is stable, meaning it's still going to continue to stand, right? It's still going to continue to be the stability that it is. However, I feel like it's one of those things where you continue to stay with something because you've built it or you have had that for the longest time and it just needs to be what that is. Like, and that's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just for this King and Queen of Pentacles, they will continue to stay in this commitment. They will continue to still try to give to this commitment, even if it's probably going against what they both know, right? Again, you know, and if you've watched the previous King series readings, this King and Queen of Pentacles started off in that friendship energy. There's something about how they're soulmates, friendship. They built this connection from scratch, basically, right? And that is a connection you cannot break easily, okay, despite the energies we see here. But that's just what I'm seeing initially for the King and Queen of Pentacles. Now, the thing about that is this King is going to continue to still feel the way they feel, right? They're not in love in this connection anymore. Okay. Um, and the thing about that is when your soul cries out for something more, right? You're going to want that even more and more and more. And that is more so, I think, for this king. That's the conflicted energy they carry in the connection with the Queen of Pentacles. That frustration is just going to continue to grow more and more. Okay. It only goes away. Honestly, it only goes away when you give yourself the opportunity to explore a fresh start. And then it's up to you then to accept the outcome. If in that pursuit of a fresh start, you actually do gain the outcome you want, then great. But if you do potentially go into a fresh start and then regret your actions, realizing what you had was great, you also need to accept the consequences of that decision, right? But this kind of energy, it the frustration builds, and you're just going to want it even more because you feel that you're being denied it, right? Now, for the Knight of Swords in reverse, this King and Queen of Pentacles is not going to do anything about this connection. Um, they're still going to stay within it. It's still going to it's like a slow death, honestly. It's a slow death without both of their knowledges. It's a slow death. Um, there's always going to be this inkling or feeling of walking away, but not really doing that, not taking the action to do that. Even maybe planning it in their head, but not really going through with it. And I feel like that's more this king than this Queen of Pentacles. So I guess this is still the potential energy for a King and Queen of Pentacles. Now, let's check out for the King and Queen of Cups. Six of Wands, Page of Wands, and the Two of Wands. Let's see. King and Queen of Cups, potential energy. Oh, oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Well, obviously, King and Queen of Cups, because the King's energy is one of I'm going to stay in this commitment. I'm going to continue to be in this commitment with this Queen of Pentacles. That's why here we're not seeing anything happen for this King and Queen of Cups together. Sorry, you guys can't really see the cards there. I think it's cut off. But here's what we got, right? Six of Wands, Page of Wands, and Two of Wands. A lot of desire in the energy, but is there any outcome? No. So I think with the Six of Wands, the thing here is the realization that the only way the connection with the Queen of Cups would ever work is if they did something that they knew they were supposed to do for the connection. The fact is they need to separate themselves from this Queen of Pentacles for this connection to have any kind of real chance. And again, if we go back, that is not the intention that this king has, okay? Because that's the only way this connection with this Queen of Cups would ever work. But this king is showing stubbornness. And it's not because they're supposed to choose this Queen of Cups. It's just in their energy, they are stubborn. They are going to do what they continue to believe, which is be in this commitment, even if their heart is elsewhere, right? Even if they really want to be with this Queen of Cups. Now, with the Page of Wands, I think to even try, honestly, is just it's wrong. That's why the Justice is in reverse. To even try, so this King and Queen of Cups, to even try for the connection is wrong to begin with, because for one, there's not a real future there unless things are set on a different course, right? But which means there's going to be this kind of pain and this kind of sacrifice and all those kinds of things. So I think in the energy of the King and Queen of Cups, their connection, there's not a real potential because it's wrong to begin with and it started off wrong, right? Even if they put in the work, the time, the effort, the energy, and even if their partnership would probably yield better results because of the way they are aligned, it just does not have a future, and it's wrong. It doesn't work, right? And I think that's why we come to the conclusion of the Two of Wands, where this Queen of Cups and a Queen of Wands energy, they know there's not a real opportunity here. There is nothing. for me to pursue here. And what I really need to do is break apart. And that's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to make the best decision for themselves, but ultimately for this king as well. There's just a high, solid recognition of, as much as probably this king and queen of cups really do love each other, the connection is wrong and it cannot be. So that seems to be the potential energy of this king and queen of cups together. Okay. This reading is turning out longer than I expected, but I just want to get final guidance before I leave you guys here. I'm going to just get this. Just leave it off with this, right, as final guidance for all three. Okay. King guidance. King guidance. Queen of Pentacles guidance. Queen of Cups guidance. Ooh, okay. Overall guidance, closure. I love that. Okay. King guidance, lighten your load. You know, this king is being guided to, we're being encouraged to try to lighten their load. And the thing is, for them to really lighten their load is a sacrifice and a loss of something that they have built for most of their life, right? Again, this king and queen of pentacles have been together forever. So to lighten their load would mean a total loss of their life of as they know it, right? Again, that's the encouragement, okay? But I would say, practically speaking, there are other ways they can lighten their load. I was about to say a few like suggestions, but the minute that it started to form in my head, I knew it was wrong. So all I can say for this king is there are ways for you to lighten your load. Small, but maybe meaningful ways to lighten your load. Okay. Okay. I can form a better way of saying this. Talking to someone about what you're going through, releasing the energy through some kind of physical activity, and taking care of your health. Okay. That will help you to lighten your load. For the Queen of Pentacles, confidence. Queen of Pentacles, you know, the Queen of Pentacles in the King series, nobody is evil here. Okay. There's not a good guy, not a bad guy. There's no one evil or whatever. Okay. This is just a human story. It's this particular challenge, this series, right? And I would say this Queen of Pentacles needs to realize everything they're fighting for, they're doing it with purpose for what they believe in. Is it right in like a common mass setting? Like, is it right? Is it wrong? It's not, we're not here to do that. I think the guidance for this Queen of Pentacles is to keep doing what you believe. But I also feel like there's a personal message in there that this confidence, they need to keep building that within themselves for themselves. Remember, if you watch the past readings, there is this encouragement for this Queen of Pentacles to realize that they are their own person without this king. That's not to say to get rid of the king. It's more of this Queen of Pentacles needs to recognize they're their own person, and they can be that person and be with this king. That they don't have to, I don't know, sacrifice their entire being for this connection, right? To recognize that, to be confident, to not feel like their entire life is going to be lost if something happens to this connection, right? That's the encouragement. So for the Queen of Cups, answers and passion, I would say, Queen of Cups, eventually you will find the answers to your questions. And I think you're going to realize there's passionate energy in this Queen of Cups earlier because there is something that they're pursuing. There's something that they're doing now that actually has purpose, but it is half-hearted. And I think continue with it, you're going to realize why that purpose meant something. You're going to realize where that passion actually is coming from. It's like there's a whole new reality opening up for a Queen of Cups here. And as they do more of that work, they step more into themselves, right? And they become this Queen of Wands. So that's the encouragement. Obviously, closure, you know, each character here does have work to do in closing out certain things for themselves, but Obviously, that's going to be a work in progress, and it'll continue to be a work in progress. But for now, this is the energy of this King, Queen of Pentacles, and Queen of Cups. And I'll see you again next time.